Hello everybody, and welcome to day 14 of our Advent series. I hope that you'll all place your number 14 star on your nativity scene while we get ready to read today's story. And today's story is called Into the Lion's Den. And this is the story of Daniel from the book of Daniel in the Bible. After Jeremiah's letter, God's people waited for God to keep his promise. They planted gardens and built houses and started families, but most of all, they counted the years. They remembered God's promise to bring them back home, so even though they felt alone, they knew that God was with them. Even when it was hard, even when they didn't listen, even when they were miles and miles from home, God did not forget his people. So he sent another prophet to remind them that he wouldn't stay away forever. His name was Daniel. Daniel was one of the smartest prophets who ever lived. He was also one of the hardest workers. And he had a special skill, like Joseph had back in Egypt. Daniel knew how to interpret dreams. That was a winning combination, so it shouldn't surprise you that the king, named Darius, gave Daniel a great job and an important title. Daniel might have been far from home, but the king had given him a lot of power. Some people got jealous of Daniel pretty quickly. They wanted his great job and his important title, so they started plotting a way to take Daniel down. This was their plan. Everybody knew that Daniel loved God and prayed to him every day. So they decided to get King Darius to make a new law so that everyone could only pray to the king. Now, of course, you know that is a bad idea, because people should only pray to God. Daniel knew that too, but the king didn't. And according to this new law, if people didn't pray to the king, they'd be thrown into a lion's den and become a lion's snack. So, when this group of bad guys came to the king, it was over in a heartbeat. The king heard their idea and loved how important it made him seem. He had no clue they were trying to hurt Daniel. He signed the paper, and just like that, Daniel's life was in danger. Daniel heard about the new law, but he prayed to God anyway, just like he always had. He went to his room, closed the door, and prayed, just like he had every day before. The bad guys were listening, and they knew Daniel had broken the law. They dragged Daniel before the king, pointed to the law book, and demanded that Daniel go to the lions. The king realized what had happened, and he regretted the law he had made. But he was stuck. He had soldiers throw Daniel to the lions, but even as they did, he said something that almost sounded like a prayer to God. "I hope your God rescues you," he said to Daniel. The next morning, the king ran straight to the lion's den. He peered his head in and he yelled, "Daniel, are you there?" "You bet," Daniel answered. "You thought I was alone down here. But I wasn't. Along with these lions, God was with me. Even when it was dark, even when I felt alone, even when I was afraid, God was here and he protected me." Daniel wasn't the only one that God was using miles and miles from home. He was also using other prophets and other animals to get all kinds of people ready for his return. And still, every day, Daniel prayed. Because of our sin, God seems far away. But even in Babylon, I hope and pray, God, will you come back to stay? Here's Daniel's lion from the lion's den. And I bet you our block today will represent Daniel in the lion's den story. Come back and join me tomorrow to find out what story comes next in our series.